I'm Mike May, and welcome to Conversations. And tonight we have local author Andrea Ezerins. I've said that wrong.
Ezerins.
Ezerins.
Yep, close.
Andrea Ezerins. Now, what's the background of that name?
So it's a Latvian name. It's my
Latvian.
husband. Yep.
Okay.
So they,
Oh,
there's a big group. They're from Manchester. And
Oh, really?
There's a big Latvian community in Manchester and Willimantic.
I didn't know
Yep,
that.
yep.
See, I learned something. I learned something already today. Oh, good grief. And I met you at a local
Craft Fest.
Craft Fest.
Yes. Yep.
And I see you have this book for sale. Again and again, back to you. And this is, you wrote,
Yes.
local author, so you wrote this.
Yes.
So is this your first book? Or?
It is.
Oh, your first book.
Took
And-
me a long time to write this first one.
And how long was that?
20 plus years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, good
So-
grief. Good grief. Now,
Yeah.
well, tell us about the book.
So I'm an odd author. I call myself an accidental author because I did not dream of writing a book or becoming an author. I loved to read when I was young, but never had the dream. But 25 years ago, I had like a perfect vision kind of the ending of my book. And the
Oh.
ending is an important part of the book. It really makes the whole thing. And I was flying home on a plane on a business trip and pictured the whole thing happening. I knew what was going on. And I wrote it all down because I was afraid it was like a dream where I'd forget it as time went by. And I reread it like the next day, and I was like, oh, this is, poignant and kind of, heart-wrenching because I know the story behind it or, what's happening. And I said, endings of stories are the hardest part, so I've got a really cool ending. I'm going to try and write the beginning and the middle to fit with this ending. And that's what took me the 20 years of slow picking it up, putting it down, raising a family, working full time. And
All those little details.
Yes, that get in the way. And it was really during COVID, like the beginning of COVID, where all of a sudden I was like, it's done, done as much. And I started revising it until I reached the point where I couldn't read it anymore.
Right.
And then went through the process, hired a developmental editor to kind of see what they thought about it and what they would do. Because as I said, I was not a professional writer. I was an underwriter in my career. So,
really? Oh, wow.
So it just kind of worked out. That this developmental editor, made some really good suggestions and things, and then suggested that I submit it to She Writes Press, which is a independent hybrid publisher that only does female authors. So, and that process took about a year and a half, and ultimately it got published in September of 2024. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, so this is early. Now, is there like a central message in this? You spent 25 years writing this.
Yeah, so I think the central message is to not wait for things to happen, but to really live your life as you want it to. So Marta, is the main character, and she keeps holding on to kind of her past and a dream. And ends up kind of not living her life as fully as she should have, and until kind of a real serious twist happens, and then it kind of frees her from all the things that were holding her back, so I think the reader's left with the idea that you shouldn't keep holding on to dreams. You've got a life to live that's right in front of you. Yeah.
So you had the ending first, so it was kind of like reverse engineering.
Yes.
I mean, this is where I want to get to, and then now I have to figure out a way to get there.
Right, and that's a important thing because in the book I call it channeling. So there's magical realism in the book, in that Marta meets a channeler that can take her back to a point in her life, and she can make a different decision and see what her life would have been like kind of, I think there's a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, it's called The Sliding Door.
Oh, yeah.
So similar to that concept. And so that was the part I had to spend a lot of time trying. I wanted to make it realistic, and so I had to rethink and keep plotting out how I could make it real. And I've done a number of book clubs since the book came out.
Okay.
And there's always at least a couple people in the book club that go, channeling's real, right? And I go, oh, I really I tried to make it as real as possible, but I don't, you can channel with kind of spirits, but this is really going back and living a alternate life. And I'm like, I don't think that's a real thing, but maybe.
For a literary convention again.
Yes,
Right.
it was
Okay.
right.
Okay, now, what do you think might be an idea that you're trying to get across in your book?
So I think that the idea about soulmates and fate come into play in the book quite a bit. So that always generates kind of conversations. Do you believe in soulmates? Do you believe that fate, your life is plotted out already and you can't do things to change it? And that people have different opinions about that. And so Marta and Kevin are the two characters that fall in love when they're 14 and then his family moves away, and they always kind of wondered whether they were soulmates, whether it's just kind of a trick of their memory and such. So talking about soulmates and the idea of whether you control your own destiny or whether it's kind of all preordained is I think a good idea that comes across in the book.
Well, I met my wife it's over 40 years ago now.
Okay.
I was at church, and I was talking with someone, and this young woman came up and said something and gave us both a piece of paper, the guy I was talking to. And this was pre-email, pre-everything.
Yeah.
So it was very common. If you had something going on and you wanted to invite people, you wrote it up and you passed it around.
Yeah.
And went, Heidi's having a party at her house. If you can make, I'll go.
Yeah.
And so, I went and, talked with her and met a bunch of other people. Then things worked out. I was out of state for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And then when I came back to Connecticut, I went back to that church because that was my home church. And she went, oh, there's that guy. And he just disappeared. Yeah. And she came up and
ghosted me, I think they call it these days.
Well, yeah. Well, no, he was just gone.
Right, yeah.
And she walked up to me, she said, oh, hello. And this is one of the most embarrassing things ever because I recognized her and I meant to say, I'm sorry I forgot your name.
Yeah.
But it came out, do I know you? And I went, no, that's not what,
yes.
what I meant to say. But
Yeah.
things worked out. Things
Okay,
worked
all right,
out
and you think you're soulmates, kind of,
well,
or it was destiny?
it'll be 40 years this year, so
Yeah.
so far so good.
Right.
Okay, so we'll get back to this. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back and find out more about soulmates and true love.
Okay,
maybe.
yes, that's a good one.
Okay, welcome back. We're here with Andrea, and I'm still learning
Ezerins?
Ezerins, because that's Latvian.
Yes.
So I'm learning one word of Latvian today.
You are.
And
I think it means little lake.
Oh, Little
so
Lake.
it's actually,
okay.
means something in
All right.
Latvian.
Oh, my goodness. And she's a local author, and this is her first book that she's telling us about. And now you had talked about, you had the ending of the book, and then you had to work toward it. I like to write sketches and plays. And it's kind of opposite for me in that I have these two characters, and as it were, they start talking. And my wife even asked me, what's going to happen? I said, I don't know. They haven't told me yet. In a way, I'm just listening to them and saying, what? You said that? Well, how are you going to react to that? And then you hit a wall. But again, it's kind of like listening to them. So it's doing what you said. Doing what you said and out. So now, anybody inspired by anybody in real life for you?
So that's a funny story. So Marta is the main character, and she's growing up, in the 70s, so similar to me. The fictional town is in Brunswick, New Jersey, but it's very similar to Columbia, Connecticut, where I grew up.
Oh, really?
So
you grew up in Columbia?
Yep.
Oh, my
yep,
goodness.
Yep. So the people that are from Columbia that were, classmates or around that period will recognize, things, similarities to that place, kind of the setting of Columbia. And
now, do you have to stay out of Columbia now? Are you in trouble?
No, all rec park, just references and the small town feel that there's a lake in it, just like Columbia Lake.
Right.
So Marta, has maybe some similarities to me. She likes to read, so I included some of my books that I read growing up in the book. But one of the things, she's got parents that are immigrants from Romania, and she always feels a little out of step with her classmates because of that. And she doesn't have enough clothes to take her through, all 5 days of the week for school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and that I got from my husband and his sister growing up. They had immigrant from Latvia parents, so and they were very sensitive about the fact that they didn't have 5 school outfits. So I incorporated that into the book. When my mother read the book early on, she turned to me at the end of the book, which is a very moving, and she all her comment to me was, I didn't know you didn't have enough clothes growing up. And I was like, no, Mom, I did. No, it's fiction.
Yeah.
It's just got, pieces of me. I even told her it's really based on, my husband and his sister who she knows, and she still she can't get that fact out of her head. So I've kind of given up telling her that it's really, not me or anything that was transpired. So whispers of me, I say, but not nowhere near exact.
Inspiration. Now, if you were going to compare this book to one we're already familiar with, like It or the Da Vinci Code, or something.
Yeah.
So what book was that?
So there, it's an oldie but a goodie. I really liked it. Bridges of Madison County. Is got a similar feel of that. I think it's Francesca, meets and falls in love with the photographer, and then they, part and never kind of see each other, but it's a really meaningful relationship and connection. So it's got similarities to that because of the ending, and one of them has Alzheimer's. Some people have made the comment that The Notebook, which I would love to have, more people think that it's similar, because I thought it was certainly a lovely movie, but a lovely book as well. So those are the parallel, connections that I'll draw.
Now, you had this, I haven't had a chance to read it. Now, it starts in the 70s. And my grandmother told me about the 70s, not quite. So what did you use from the 70s from that book? And why the 70s?
Yeah, so for one thing, write what you know. So I could bring up memories and things. Don McLean's American Pie plays an important part of that connects Marta and Kevin music and such. So I used things like that so that people that experienced the 70s would, have those similar connections made. I had to get the copyright to use lyrics from it because they're referenced in there. And I thought, American Pie is this wonderful song that's lasted, timeless, It's still relevant today. And it's kind of mysterious about what it's about. It's hard
Right.
people have always questioned. So I liked that fact. And at one point later on in the story, Marta says that that was her and Kevin's song, and she thought it was kind of their connection, their love song, but she realizes it was really just a long goodbye song kind of thing. So I liked the music from the 70s and bringing those aspects in, but really liked the American Pie tie-in that.
Now you say it took you 25 years.
Yes.
Now, but that's because you had like career and family and such. Could anything have happened that, thinking back, I could have worked on it more, or I could have done it quicker?
Yes, so I definitely could have. My MO. I'll say one thing. I finished it, which
Yeah, hey, great.
So yep, it took me a
That's
long
good.
time,
That's good.
and I easily could have put it down, and no harm, no foul. No one would. My kids knew. They always, every once in a while walked by me. It was, typing, go, Mom, working on your novel, are you? Stuff. So, but other than that, no one knew I was working. My mother didn't know I was working. There wasn't any. I just wanted to tie the story and the ending together and be able to say I kind of wrote a book. So I did stick with it, but this was how I would do it. Every New Year's Day I would make a resolution. I'm going to really kick in and start writing the book. And much like gym memberships and stuff, I lasted until about March, really every day working on it. And then around March or April, I'd fade off and life would get in the way. And then I'd pick it up again in January of the next year. So that was a very inefficient writing process because those months when you aren't doing it, you forget, so you lose. Yes, it was very choppy. So that is not recommended. I wrote in between getting this to the publisher, and then they, went through their process. There was a lot of downtime. And in that time, I spent 6 months and wrote a second book just like that.
That was the next
COVID,
question.
the kids had, we had an empty nest. The kids had gone off to college, so I was like, oh my gosh, it's so much more efficient and effective to just write it in 6 months versus 25 years.
Well, you probably know the famous Stephen King. So he wrote his first book, and he thought this is junk, and he threw it away. And his wife fished it out of the garbage and said, we should send this in. So he sent it in, and the agent called back, and he said, they got it. Well, how much? You got a $50,000 advance. And he said, a $5,000 advance? No. And this is when he was wearing like sneakers in the snow.
Yes. Yeah.
No, $50,000. What? And that was Carrie.
Yeah.
And he hasn't the computer program that writes his books, I guess, is still cranking them out.
And they say there's people that, and it sounds like the way you write your plays and work on them is a pantser. And Stephen King, they say, is a pantser, where it just comes, it's whatever the characters, he has no plan, and it just self-generates and goes through. And then there's people, and I think it's James Patterson, who's a plotster, who plots everything out and knows the ending and then works your way. And so I've determined I'm a plotster, that I need that. And the second book I had it's a modern retelling of an old 100-year-old book, so I had to plot it out to make sure I was following that storyline. And I was like, oh, this is so much better than picking it up every 3 months or every couple months. But yeah, it's.
Now you said two things that we'll have to get. Okay, we'll be back again in just a minute, because there's two things you said we've got to get back to.
At Community Voice Channel, you learn television production with hands-on experience. Our programming comes from volunteers, just like you. For more information on how to volunteer, call 860-645-1454 or visit www.cvcct.org. Don't just watch TV, make it.
Okay, welcome back to Conversations with Andrea I'm sorry,
Ezerins.
Ezerins. I keep wanting to say Erkins. Ezerins. It's
Yeah.
got a Z right there.
Right.
Ezerins. Now, you had said you had used two terms, pantser and plotter.
Plotster.
Plotster. That's so funny because about 6 months ago, we shot a short movie. A guy had written a play, and this is good, let's shoot it, because it takes place in somebody's kitchen and living room.
Okay.
So we didn't have to get a set or anything.
Yeah.
So we shot it at his house, and it's about a guy writing a play about a guy writing a play.
Yeah.
And he has this big speech about some people are pantsers and some people are plotsters, which I had never heard before.
Okay, so
but I
now
guess
this
that's,
is your second. It's official.
it's official. I'll have to send you the link to the play. So you can
Okay.
go, oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you already wrote a second book,
Yes.
and that only took you
6 months.
6 months.
Yep.
Okay. So is it a sequel or
It
continue?
is not.
Okay.
Yep. Nope. Completely, different story, and so it's a modern retelling of L.M. Montgomery. She's the author of Annie of Green Gables, is her most famous, book. But she wrote The Blue Castle, which is a lovely little romance, happily ever after, but set 100 years ago. And so I did do a modern retelling of it. It's set in 2013 in New York City. It's got birding. The kind of lonely, secluded girl is birds in Central Park, and it goes through. So that was a nice, very quick 6 months. It's coming out next year in
it's coming
May
out.
of 2026. So that'll.
Just we can say we knew her when.
Yes,
She
right.
was here. Melanie, we can say, we'll have to save the chair, and
Yes, right.
that thing that she signed, save that. The autograph will be worth so much now.
Yep.
Now again, it's two funny things. One, you mentioned that my son-in-law is an Anne of Green Gables fan.
Okay.
And my granddaughter's name is Avonlea.
Yes.
And my sisters
A
were
real fan.
dog sitting for someone in New York, and I was able to visit them for a few days and got to spend a lot of time walking around Central Park for the
Okay,
first time in my
yes.
life. So this is things.
Right. Connections. Yes.
Connections, things coming
Yep.
together. Okay, so the second book is already out?
No.
Oh.
So it's scheduled, going to be published May of 2026. So the publisher,
I
She
see.
Writes Press, has it now. So I've had to, finalize it. But then it's pretty much a year
Right, a
for them to do the cover
Right,
and
the
do all the
process,
layout.
yeah.
Their process. And so it's kind of a relief of that. You know how you can keep tweaking and reworking, and every paragraph you read, you can make but now I'm like, it's right. It's a freeing experience not to go, well, let me just do a little, read. Oh, let me just, change that. So.
Well, somebody said, you don't finish a work of art, you abandon it.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
I'm
I
done.
can't. Right.
I got to put it out
Yep.
there.
I might agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you've got 2 books under your belt now.
Yes.
So
So maybe I am a writer, or
Well, I mean,
write
do you have
a third?
Are you working on anything now?
Right? No.
You hit a
not-
wall, writer's block.
Right, maybe right. Just and maybe I think it was in between this time that I wrote the second one. So maybe inspiration will strike me, but nothing so far.
Nothing so far.
Yeah, I'm just decompressing.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
that can be fun. Well, one of my favorite authors, Anthony Trollope. He was a Victorian. He wrote 47 novels, 47 huge, thick Victorian
really?
novels in his spare time, because he worked full time for the post office. And he would get up like at 5 and have a cup of tea and put his pocket watch in front of him.
Okay.
And every 15 minutes, he disciplined himself to write 250 words.
Really?
And he had it down to that much of a science.
I mean, and can you imagine back then,
Right,
handwrite, were they quill pen, right?
And he was
wow.
able to crank them out.
Wow.
And I've read a lot of them. It's become like a lifetime project because it's so many books. But
Yes.
they're all quite good.
Really?
And it was like Dickens and then, Trollope.
Okay.
Well known. And then I read that when if he finished one on Thursday,
Yeah.
do you know what he did on Friday?
Start a new
He
one.
started a new one. Wow. And if he finished one at 6 o'clock and he had another hour left, what would he do?
Pick it up and start.
He'd
Yeah,
start
right
another
then.
one. And I go, oh, good
Jeez.
grief. Good grief.
Wow.
And in his spare time.
Yes.
But he was able to
Yep,
just able to
47
crank
big
them
ones.
out.
Yeah, just the ideas, coming up with the ideas, but then that getting it down on paper, and that's amazing.
Yeah, like someone, maybe it was Picasso, people asked about inspiration, and he said something like, inspiration does come, but it's best if she finds you working. So
That is very
Yeah.
true,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't wait for that great idea. Just start getting something down, and it could. Yeah, that's a
turn in-
good one.
Because I taught high school English for a long time.
Okay.
And one of the things we practiced was journal writing.
Yeah.
The idea to develop fluency. And by fluency, we meant just getting your thought. Don't worry about spelling, grammar. Just get your thoughts out. Just
Right.
get your thoughts
Yeah.
out. And so, well, if I can't think of anything to write then? And this was like, you could be graded for this. If you can't think of anything to write, then just write, I can't think of anything to write.
Yep.
And just and if you fill up the page with that, you'll get
Yeah.
100 for that grade.
Yeah. Yep.
But what can happen? I can't think of anything to write. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything to write. Except yesterday, my brother and I got into.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
keeping it going.
That connects. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good exercise or setup.
Okay. Now, did you ever hit a wall in writing this and say, oh, I can't think of any more ideas. I can't get to this. I'm just going to have to give it up.
I think I'm a grinder sort of a writer that because I didn't have much time where I didn't have hours and hours to just sit and start. I'd have I have a half hour before
I see.
dinner and I would just sit and I would just write something down, and it turned out that that's a good way. I mean, just like your journaling idea, that's a good way to get the ideas going. So I never had kind of enough time to get writer's block or think
Yeah.
about it, because I said, I just want to get this, chapter going, and I
Right, yeah.
have 30 minutes to do it. 30 minutes to do it, and I'm going to just get something down, versus if I was a real writer and had
Yeah,
all day, had 8 hours a
Yeah,
day,
right.
I think that's when you kind of could seize up and be like, oh, I can't think of anything that's going to fill 8 hours.
I know. Now you gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta do that, because that would be really annoying.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. So you ready? Anything you'd like to leave us with? Now any final thoughts?
Right. No, I'll maybe two things. I have a bi-monthly newsletter that I
Oh.
keep people abreast of what's going on, how's this journey with the second book going, what am I doing to promote this, then general other tidbits. It was my first grandson's first birthday,
Oh,
so
congratulations, yeah.
Thank you. So on my website, my website is AndreaEzerins.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. So for people interested in that, and then that my book. So this is the paperback. The book's available on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Wherever books are sold,
But,
yeah.
Yep. But it's also an ebook and an audio book,
Okay.
so you can get it that way
All
as
right.
well for people that are
Okay, well-
interested.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll have to have you on next year when your second
yes.
book comes
Oh,
out.
that would be great.
Okay, so thank you for joining us, and this is Mike May. Thank you for joining us.
All right.